Next one is Azerbaijan Institute for Democracy and Human Rights. Ladies and gentlemen, I was just reminded to remind you, please, when civil society speaking, speak from the civil society desk. So, next one is Azerbaijan Institute for Democracy and Human Rights.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ahmad Shahidov. I represent Azerbaijan Institute for Democracy and Human Rights. And we live in a world where international law is tested every single day. In Ukraine, Russian missiles strike civilian homes, kindergartens and hospitals, acts the international community rightly defines as the war crimes. The civilized world demands accountability because there can be no peace without justice. But the same principle must apply everywhere, not only when it's politically convenient. If war crimes are punished in Europe, they must also be punished elsewhere. Justice cannot have borders. Over the past 4 days of this conference, I have listened to several of my Armenian colleagues, Armenian representatives, and especially the members of the Armenian National Committee of America, ANCA, who have tried to portray the ongoing trials in Baku as a political persecution. Let me be very clear. This is not politics. This is justice. The individuals on trial in Baku today, especially Arayik Harutyunyan, Arkady Gugasyan, Bako Saakyan, David Ishkhanyan, David Babayan, Levon Natsakanyan, and others are not activists, not journalists, and not political prisoners. They are accused concrete war criminals responsible for acts of terrorism, mass killings, torture and attacks on civilians during Armenia's decades-long military aggression against Azerbaijan. And let me remind you, during the 2020 war, Armenian forces deliberately targeted peaceful Azerbaijani cities, Ganja, Barda and Tartar. Hundreds of civilians, including women and children, were killed by cluster munitions. These attacks were not accident. They were crimes. Today, those responsible are facing trial openly, transparently, and under the rule of law. The hearings at the Baku military court are public, attended by defendants' lawyers, translators, victims' families, and journalists. Each accused person enjoys full legal defense and the right to a fair trial in full compliance with international standards, including the Geneva Conventions and the principles of due process. Let us be honest. When the world demands accountability for Russian generals who bombed Mariupol, we call it justice. When Armenian commanders face justice for bombing Ganja, we must call it the same, justice. Selective law is not justice, it's politics. I also want to remind this room that on August 8, 2025, this year, I was in Washington, D.C. at the White House when the Azerbaijan-Armenia peace agreement was signed under the mediation of President Donald Trump. And that day, the same organization, ANCA, Armenian National Committee of America, issued a statement condemning the peace process and calling it a betrayal. Today, the same organization is here in Warsaw, opposing justice and defending those war criminals. This is not human rights advocacy. This is political propaganda. And Azerbaijan does not seek revenge. It seeks accountability.
May I ask you to
and our courts are not punishing nationality. They are punishing crime. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next one is